Hey, what do you say, ladies and gentlemen? Dan and I are excited to introduce our Buy Me a Coffee page. We've had a lot of listeners reach out and say, hey there, bub, we really appreciate what you do and want to support the show. Well, here's one way to do that without big corporations taking, 30% of the cut of your generosity. Just head over to www.buymeacoffee.com/BigBlueBanter and chip in if you'd like to support us directly. Every contribution means a lot, and it helps keep the show going strong. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for listening, and have a lovely day.
Welcome back. It's the Big Blue Banter, New York Giants football podcast. I'm Dan Schneider, joined as always my co-host Nick Falato. I want to start today's show by thanking every one of you who have done two things for us. One, stick with us through these trying times. Two, stick with the Giants through these trying times. That's even harder to do, I would imagine. And three, who have supported us via Buy Me a Coffee, which has really helped us grow and helps us put some resources and possibilities into growing the show and doing things like we're doing now with the chat that we've opened up. So if you want to join us in a chat, I need to be a little bit more active, but never on a Monday. Mondays are crazy, as Nick knows, and so are Nick's, not just with this show, but with our other work responsibilities. But we've been pretty involved other than that. So join us at BigBlueBanter.chat. That's BigBlueBanter.chat. You can put that in your mobile browser or in your desktop browser. It'll take you through a few steps to join our chat. And we will be at some point soon giving away some tickets to a Giants game, hopefully for Jaxson Dart to break out, or not to break out, but to put together a fun game for you to watch if you do decide to go. But thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who has continued to like these videos and leave comments. But today's show, as you well know, is the Offensive All 22 film review, I should say. I'm on like 1 hour sleep today, Nick, so we're going to deal with that. Didn't sleep well last night, dealing with a little bit of sinus infection. But we're going to break down the tape. We're going to go over what happened with the Giants on the offensive side of the ball. What would be your key takeaway, or what would be the first thing that comes to mind after watching the film on offense?
Dan, you didn't sleep because you were subjected to rewatching the New York Giants offense and defense, just the team in general. But if we're talking about the offense, I mean, look, this was a different personnel usage. This was due to game script because the Giants were down for most of the game, but also because Daniel Bellinger's injury. So we saw a lot of 11 personnel. I think they were in 11 personnel 92% of the time. That's like Ben McAdoo level numbers. And a lot of this was with the receiver who barely knows the playbook in Ray McLeod, who was playing a lot of backside 3x1. So they were like, they trusted him as that backside 3x1, maybe gave him free access looks depending on the leverage of the defender, and said, you run your route based on this. It's probably a more simplified way to operate in this offense. I expect him to move to the front side of those 3x1 sets. A lot of cover. Like, it's not even like the Robert Saleh did anything too creative. He didn't blitz all that often. He blitzed on that 1/3 down. Blitzed, I think I had the percentage. It wasn't a lot. A lot of cover 6, right? Strong week to the cover 2 side against 3x1 sets. They ran a lot of those cover 6, a lot of cover 3, and then some cover 4. And that's basically about it. And then it was really just a beat up defense that was playing with a lot of effort and a lot of heart. The Giants should take note. Now, there are players on the Giants defense that do play with effort and heart, but not exactly everybody. We'll get into that on the next podcast. But yeah, this offense stagnated in a lot of throughout basically the first half after that opening drive. And we can talk about that opening drive. I mean, there's a lot to really dive into here. You also have just like the reality of the situation of like Jalin Hyatt, who by the time you were listening to this, I wouldn't be shocked if he's wearing another jersey if the Giants do trade him ahead of the deadline, which is tomorrow on Tuesday, because they just showcased him as a kick returner. Maybe he'd break a long run and showcase that speed, that 22-mile-per-hour speed, and some team will be like, oh, we really need that on our team. Instead of giving him snaps, you have Gunnar Olszewski catching the touchdown, and Ray McLeod, who's been here for a cup of coffee. Jalin Hyatt's dress doesn't earn a snap. Evan Neal's dress doesn't earn a snap. It's just pathetic at this point. There's just burned roster spots because the general manager and this coaching staff are not on the same page, and there are a lot of high picks who are not earning snaps, and they're not earning snaps because they suck. Right. And the team sucks, which really means they really suck, or the coaching staff really sucks at getting anything out of them. It's a combination of probably all of that. But I wanted to get that off my chest because it's frustrating going through this film and seeing the totality of the New York Giants, this dumpster fire of a team that we're forced to cover. And I love covering this team. I love the New York Giants. What I hate is bad football. And that's what I've been, and you've been, and this fan base has been subjected to for a very long time. And we just need a fresh start, a blank slate. All of these useless platitudes that we hear in every press conference, it's just in one ear, out the other. Wait till the end of the season. Got another, 8 games of this, which seems unfathomable at this point. But yeah, at least we have a rookie quarterback who did not play his best game, but is still that lightning rod, that energy that this team needs to keep this somewhat exciting. And Jaxson Dart, I still was impressed with his tape, even though this might not have been his best game.
Yeah, and I went back when the thing that stood out to me, number one, from watching all 22, because I wanted to get answers, and I mentioned on last night's show about the offense in the first half and what Jaxson Dart was seeing and what was there. And what stood out to me is it was just a series of classic Giants stuff. 3rd and 2, you're at the 47-yard line of the 49ers. You take 2 pre-snap penalties to get into 3rd and 13, and you have to throw underneath. Later on a couple other 3rd and 8s or 3rd and longs, they have to throw short of the sticks because that's the situation you're in when you're in 3rd and long. And then there were a couple drives that stalled out due to sacks. 2 really bad reps in this game from Mbow that just absolutely obliterated drives. One on a 1st and 10 that killed the drive, another later on a 3rd down. And so I looked back and I was like, I'm happy to see that it wasn't, in my mind, an example of Jaxson Dart having no answers to what the defense was throwing at him, or Jaxson Dart just missing open reads or missing throws when he did find open reads. It was really none of that in the first half. It was just kind of all a comedy of bad errors that the Giants have made. And then I thought about the red zone series at the end, not the end, when the Giants were down 20-7, Nick. And that one play that stood out to me was the 3rd down play call, because I watched that play a few times back. Probably put it up. Is it in your film review, that 3rd and 2? It's probably not. It wouldn't be, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's just throw it up then, because I do have it. We can just run this play real quick here. Just how dialed in the 49ers were in their game prep to what the Giants want to do in the red zone. You could watch that safety. There is no fooling him. He is driving on that flat route from the start of this snap, and he knows the Giants want to run this type of play. He's seen this play run before, and there's just no opportunity for it. And you can even look on the backside of that play. There's an opportunity for Fedone in a one-on-one situation, but the Giants are calling this play to get the ball out to the flat to the running back because they've designed it. They've run it before. It's worked before, but it's not working this time.
It hasn't worked before. That's
it hasn't worked before.
The Giants have run this play like 3 or 4 times this season. I could have told you
it has worked before for a lot of offenses in the red zone. It's been a cheat code for most offenses this year. For some reason, not the Giants.
So for the audio, this is the play where it's shotgun. You have Tyrone Tracy Jr., I believe it is, to the right of Jaxson Dart, and that's a 3-by-1. The 3 receiver side is where he's aligned to, and you just release 3 verts basically, and then the running back goes underneath along the line of scrimmage and then stretches out towards the pylon. And what you want to happen is it's man coverage. So the Giants got the look that they wanted. They want those vertical routes to clear out and then create traffic for the safety coming down, who has to flow through the traffic and locate. And it doesn't even matter. The Giants have run this against zone coverage and it hasn't worked.
Right.
This is like the 3rd time where the Giants try to get the ball to Tyrone Tracy Jr. I think this is Devin Singletary, so my mistake, but they try to get the ball to the running back in the flat, and it's designed to him, and the team is on it. Like it's just
right.
It is
They're
somewhat
dialed in.
They're dialed in. It's not like the Giants had all of these addendums and these adjustments to their game plan. They ran a lot of the same plays several times in this game, and the 49ers just were not fooled. This was a cover 0 look too.
Right.
Right. And then in the previous play too, we have this Darius Slayton.
Well, no, I'll talk about that in a second. Just pause that for a second. I brought that up for another reason, but the point being, the reason I brought that up, Nick, was to say that if teams are this dialed into what the Giants are running right now, with the little limited amount of time they can get on a weekly basis to prep for a team like the Giants or any team they face on their schedule, just via the tape, what's going to happen next year if we do bring back Daboll and Kafka? Is there a possibility that it's going to look worse and teams are going to get dialed in on what Daboll and Kafka are running with Dart, and we're going to have a big regression with Dart like we see with Bo Nix and some of these other second-year quarterbacks, CJ Stroud, whatever it may be? It's definitely a concern of mine, and it's definitely a tip to the point of like how people have said, we can't really afford to lose Daboll, whatever on Shane, but we can't really afford to lose Daboll because his Jaxson Dart's development is so tied to Daboll. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think Jaxson Dart has proven a skill set that will work with a lot of different coaches and a lot of different play callers. And I don't necessarily believe that moving on from Daboll is such a negative for Jaxson Dart.
No, neither do I. I think Jaxson Dart is a football player, right? And not everybody who's in the NFL is a football player. Jaxson Dart is a football player, and I think he would do well or be fine with a competent offensive mind. And I think that's what Daboll is. I just don't think Daboll is a good head coach. I think he's a competent offensive mind. I think he does maybe fall into certain tendencies, as we've seen and as we've gone over in over the last year and a half, 2 years, with some of these play calls that are becoming a little bit predictable. But overall, I think he can generate and construct an offense.
Sure.
But in this game, there were a lot of plays where I just felt like when the 49ers were dialed into what they were doing, they just executed also better than the New York Giants did. Like there was a play, and I think it was the second drive maybe, where it was a second and or I'm trying to exactly remember when it was. Darius Slayton, he was ahead of the sticks. He ran 2 yards in front of the sticks and he caught the football, and then Upton Stout tackled him, and then it ended up being like a 4th and 2 or 4th and 3, and the Giants punted the football. It ended one of the Giants' early drives. It might have been the second drive. And the second drive was tough too, because Jaxson Dart screwed up on the bubble to Wan'Dale Robinson, and then Tracy caught a football along the sidelines and got nailed, and that set up a I think it was a 2nd and 12, and then it set up like a 3rd and whatever 9 or whatever, and then it was like a 7-yard catch to Darius Slayton. But like when you watch Darius Slayton run the route, he's like looking around and he's seeing that there's a lot of space because the 49ers are dropping to a depth. And then Upton Stout is just waiting for him to turn around. And right when he turns around, 2 yards shy of the sticks, he just plant and drives and just nails Slayton, and it's an eventual punt. And it's just like, I get that a lot of teams are playing to depth right now. They're playing top down, the Giants, like we saw during the Daniel Jones era. And I hope that Dart can overcome that. And I think he can when he does challenge deep. But like Slayton, sell vertical a little bit, man. Yeah. Like you're running your route and you're like looking out of your left eye, you're looking out of your right eye. It's like, oh, I'm open. And then there's like this slow turn. And it's just like, what are you, Theo Johnson out there? Like what's going on with the play speed of a lot of these New York Giants? It seems like all these guys are just playing slow. And like the only one who's not is Wan'Dale Robinson, but Wan'Dale Robinson is a limited player. That's what Wan'Dale Robinson is, unfortunately. And you can't have him burden the entire offense at this point. Like we need so much more from Darius Slayton. Like he has been an absolute abject disaster this season for the Giants after he was rewarded with like a $36 million deal. And I feel like I've been very forgiving of Darius Slayton. I've been very honest about Darius Slayton, but it's not just the drops. It's not just I know he's not going to come down with this football that we talked about on the last show. It's like sell the vertical, sell the vert, get Upton Stout to back up a little bit instead of him just sitting on exactly what you're going to do by you looking out to your left and wait, there's no one around me. Let me just turn around. And it's just like, it's little things like that are upsetting me. I think he thought like maybe there's enough space I can turn around and I can pick it up, but every team now, and this is substantiated once you watch the entirety of the game and how the 49ers were playing the Giants, they are playing that like, oh, we'll just give you the stick route. And that's been a staple with how Brian Daboll has, and it's not on Dart to be like, Dart should take it if it's there. But I just think the Giants receivers can maybe sell it a little bit better as well.
Sure. And there's times where Dart throws it with anticipation, like the Theo drop that we'll go over at some point, I'm sure. And he throws with anticipation. He drives the football and it's there and he just drops the football. Theo Johnson, it was one of the most awkward catch attempts. But I thought what's interesting about what you said, and we'll get to the Slayton fade and Maya brought it up in a second, but I thought what's interesting about what you said is just that the Giants seem to be on film, just playing a little bit slow. I just worry, man. I don't want there's a lot of career losers on the Giants right now. And I'm not calling them losers, to be clear. And I'm not saying they're the reason why the Giants have lost, but their entire career with the Giants has been losing. They've been through multiple seasons where they get to 2-7 or they get to 2-6 and the media is crushing them. Every press conference, every post-game presser sucks. All the questions during the week suck. It's just a bad feel. It's a nasty feel. And then I think sometimes that leads to these slow games and these just like lackadaisical, lethargic type games from some of the players. I really just don't want that to rub off on Dart, man. Like he's a young quarterback. He has this swagger. He has this energy. And then now he's in this locker room with so many career losers. Darius Slayton is a career loser on this team. He's been through this a lot. And there are a lot of career losers on this team right now. And again, not their fault. I'm not calling them losers, but I know Dart brings a different energy. And I heard his presser yesterday. He was like, wow, it was really weird. I mean, he played at Ole Miss. He's like, it was really weird to be at a home game and hear a crowd like that. Because the crowd was, from everything I've gathered from talking to people who were at the game, probably about 35-40% 49ers fans. And that was, according to multiple fans I've talked to, generous. It might have been even higher than 40%, especially in that lower tier and especially as the game went on. And I just, this nasty feel that has like kind of entrapped the Giants and this team. I just don't want to rub it off on Dart. That's why I really feel maybe even more strongly than ever that they do need to move on from this regime. And then they do need to do something like what the Patriots have done, which is kind of move on from players like Duggar and players and Keon White, like old regime players that are just not good for the vibe.
Yeah, there might be an interesting conversation on the next podcast about that with a certain player. And I don't condone or want the Giants to move on from him, but I do question certain aspects of his game. We'll get into that on the next podcast. But Dan and I are excited to talk about the Big Blue Banter group chat we've got going on with Chat BCC, the group chat platform where you can interact with fans and hosts of your favorite podcasts. We've been using Chat BCC to talk to our listeners about the hottest topics in football and just to kind of shoot the breeze about whatever's on our mind. Every day, one of us is in that chat giving our thoughts and hearing from listeners on their takes on what's going on in football, what's going on with the New York Giants. It's a lot of fun. If you want to come crash our group chat, it's as easy as sending a text. Head to BigBlueBanter.chat in any URL, enter your number, and start chatting with us and the Big Blue Banter faithful. With this podcast, man, look, this was an impressive opening script. It was. The Giants had a bunch of different types of runs. They were picking up like 6, 7, 5 yards on the ground. They were doing well. A lot of power runs, and a lot of the RPOs, spacing concepts, simple stuff. And it was capped off by that epic Theo Johnson touchdown. But then after that, man, it's just like stall out, little mistake here by Jaxson Dart. And when Jaxson Dart isn't perfect, the offense cannot overcome that, right? And then on the third drive, you had a boundary smash to start. Theo ran the corner route and the ball was out well before Theo even came out of his break. I thought it was pretty funny, but there was enough space for Wan'Dale Robinson. And then you had Singletary pick up the first down. And then on the next play, Singletary gets 6 on a dump off, over the middle of the field. Again, they were playing at a very large depth. And that puts a 2nd and 4 where Keon White makes a good play against Andrew Thomas to force a 1-yard gain. And then it was false start, 3rd and 14. And you have that I can't pronounce his last name, the edge rusher, last name starts with Mbow, by the 49ers, just ran right through Marcus Mbow, right?
Multiple times. He beat up on Mbow on a few of these reps.
He did, man. He did. And the 4th drive was bad. The 5th drive, you have the drop on 3rd and 7 by Theo Johnson. It's they couldn't get out of their own way and couldn't establish any rhythm on the 2nd through 5th drive until it got into the second half when the Giants opted to kick a field goal when they were down. What was that in the 3rd quarter with 8 minutes left? Yeah.
And that was after the play we went over earlier where the 49ers were dialed in. And then this play, which we can run now, the 49ers, this is a good look for the Giants. They get one-on-one on the outside with no safety. And you have a player like Jaxson Dart who is good at changing trajectory, good at throwing these touch over the top passes. Actually, look at that sidearm throw, that 3/4 throw. You love it. And is actually the type of player you don't mind calling fades to. But the problem I have is this can't be run for Darius Slayton. It just can't be. This ball placement is fine. That's why I put it up there. I wanted to show this is not the most perfect ball placement. This is more than fine ball placement for any receiver to make a play on it. But he jumps too early. He can't break his hands free. It's all the same problems with Slayton as can't locate the football, jumps too early, mistimes the jump, can't get his hands free, can't fight through the catch. But I put this rep up because I know for a fact right now, and I've seen it with worse throws than this one, because I think it's actually a pretty solid throw, to be completely honest, if a receiver's just better. 33-year-old Nook Hopkins, DeAndre Hopkins, can make this play right now for a football team. And he costs nothing to acquire. Not that he would want to come to a team like the Giants. But there are players that Giants can acquire this offseason that can make plays like this. Even not Marlon, little Jordan Humphrey could make this play right now in that game, potentially. At least he has a better chance of making the play than Darius Slayton. I know you go into the game with a game plan Slayton's our one. That's how our team's set up. This is a play isolated for our boundary one. No, you can't run this play with Slayton. He's not making this play, and that should have been a touchdown in my mind if you have a good player like a Hopkins type, who's not even the best contested catch, just a mid-pack contested catch guy right now. And then that drive is not field goal. It's a touchdown. Yeah,
and that could change the energy of the game. I don't know if the Giants defense would have been able to hold up their end of the couch there. But and then after that Slayton fade, what did they do? It was another very popular red zone call by Kafka and Daboll.
Quarterback design run,
quarterback draw, right? Quarterback draw, and then they go with that. All of those plays, the fade is just the stone, kind of one of the worst calls unless you have a really advantageous matchup. And Slayton, and no offense, Slayton is not an advantageous matchup in any scenario when it comes to a one-on-one against a starting cornerback on the outside with a fade type of pass. That's not really where he wins. And then you go into a quarterback draw and another predictable halfback underneath. These are all plays we've seen several times. So it's the coaching in this game was Robert Saleh won. against Brian Daboll. Yeah. And really the only reason why the Giants were able to do anything, and I don't even think he played particularly, I don't want to say didn't play well, but he didn't have his best game, is because of Jaxson Dart. And it's really just because he's a tough football player who's out there just making plays. And he finds ways to do that despite maybe not being perfect. And even when his number one receiver drops a wide open touchdown, which is beautifully placed at the end of the game, he comes back 2 plays later and finds somebody who played 4 offensive snaps on a perfectly placed ball between the deep middle of the field close and the deep third defender in a cover 3 up the seam inside away from the deep third with a little pump fake to just hold that defender as well. An excellent play by Jaxson Dart. That's what a good football player does, is he's making plays despite the fact that everything else is burning around him.
Yeah, that's exactly
the offensive line. And I want to say that too, because I think the offensive line played fine in this game. Like, I didn't think they were like the pass protection really was not that bad again, other than Marcus Mbow. And I think like Greg Van Roten had one of his better games. Runyon was fine. John Michael Schmitz was okay before he went down with the injury. And then Schlottman came in, and I didn't really have anything poor to say about Schlottman. And then Andrew Thomas was Andrew Thomas. And so it's just like, like the offensive line playing well is allowing Jaxson Dart to do this. And I also think the offensive line is playing well because of Jaxson Dart. Now, that can be, that can bite you in the ass sometimes when Jaxson Dart rolls opposite of the play side and Andrew Thomas kind of, I don't want to say gives up, but thinks like, oh, the play's over at this point. I don't need Cleveland Farrell's 15 yards up the field. I already executed my assignment. And then Dart runs right into the path, which was unfortunate for the Giants.
Yeah, and I think you did a great job breaking that down, because there is a note, like it's not, and it depends how you look at it. Like, he is doing almost everything himself, but it also has to be noted that we've watched a ton of Giants football through our lifetime where it's immediate. You snap the football and the offensive line is broken down. And it's like the quarterback never had a chance. There's not that many plays like that. Mbow had 2 of these this week. But outside of those 2 Mbow reps, there weren't too many plays like that. And again, this is important to note, but the 49ers have literally nothing left on their defensive line due to injuries. Like, they were not matching up against great pass rushers or anything like that. But the offensive line is pretty much held up in pass protection all year. And this, with the exception of a couple plays in this game. So I do think that is part of it as well. Like, I think that, and I'll be fair to this player too, by the way, who, some people think I've been unfair to. I think that Jaxson Dart's situation right now, despite how bad the wide receiver play, is better than some of the situations Daniel Jones had during his time with the Giants due to this offensive line upgrade. But it's not good, right? Like, it doesn't mean it's a good situation. Like, these receivers are dropping key passes every single week, man. And they're not creating separation too on some of the routes as well. And they're not winning one-on-ones like that fade ball. So from a receiver standpoint, it's actually really bad. Maybe the worst it's ever been for the Giants over the last 5 years, but the offensive line is definitely giving him a chance.
I'll say this, Slayton does, and he did. I think it was the 6th drive. I think it might have been after the fumble, which is frustrating. Slayton beat his guy and was open deep. So like Slayton, for all of his faults, he can still win vertically sometimes. Yep. And this is the 3rd time, I think. And this isn't, and look, I don't know if Dart's eyes were on him. I think I might have that play, so we'll go over it.
Okay.
This is like the 3rd or 4th time we've seen Slayton with leverage vertically, and it just wasn't seized upon. Last week it was. I think that might have been the only time that he was, and then you had the stupid pass interference that was called against Slayton. So through all of his faults, he still has that vertical speed and I would say a solid to above average release package. It's just, he's a frustrating player, and so is Theo Johnson, right? And those are your two probably number 1 and number 2 weapons right now. Maybe you can argue Wandale as well on the offense, and both of them struggle with just butterfingers, slippery hands. Yeah. Before we get into the plays, I want to also bring up this rushing attack, because Devin Singletary outsnapped and Tyrone Tracy Jr., man. And thinking about it, dude, like, I think Singletary is just a better overall running back than Tyrone Tracy Jr.
It's a very weird situation, because besides you and I, like, no one's going to give Devin Singletary any credit. Not just you and I. I'm sure anyone who watches the tape extensively. And anytime we say this, because I'll just tip it off now, I don't care. He's my unheralded player of the game. Like, anytime we say this, I feel like it's never received very well, because it's Devin Singletary and people don't really respect his game. But I do, right? Like, you watch the tape and you could see that right now, given the state of the Giants and their blocking scheme and their run game as a whole, he's probably the best back they have. Tracy can still make, like, Tracy had one really nice gain of, like, I think it was 9 or 10 or 11, where I saw like that old school Tracy where his vision came out. He made a really nice cut to get to the edge of get off tackle on Andrew Thomas's side, and then turned it into 10 yards. But there are also plays where he's running high and he gets held up because he's running high.
Yep.
And Devin Singletary is a totally different runner, super low center of gravity, tons of jump cuts, right? Like creating a ton of forced missed tackles and then kind of maximizing the yards that he's available. Even the one play where he like did the full cutback across the line of scrimmage, Singletary, that was just a creation on his own. That play was not designed to go that way. So I think it's fair to say that for as far as what the Giants want to do on offense, their philosophy, which seems clear based on the Skattebo snaps to me, Nick, and just based on how often in second and short they just freaking call run. They never take shots in second and short. They want the guy who's going to get more positive yards on more opportunities. And that guy for them is Singletary. He's going to put them in more manageable situations on third down than Tracy is, despite Tracy having more opportunity to potentially break a big play.
Yeah. And I think that's something that, look, I'm so much more open to a running back by committee because I do want to get Tyrone Tracy Jr. going. I still think we haven't seen the best of him this season. We haven't seen that player that we loved last year. But Singletary, I think, has just played his way into playing time, really.
Right.
And I think he's right now just a better overall running back than Tyrone Tracy Jr. And there are just like plays where Tyrone Tracy Jr., it's like, oh, there's a hole. The blocking isn't that bad. And then like an arm tackle brings him down.
Right.
And I'm like, does that happen to Devin Singletary that often?
No.
It doesn't really seem. And definitely didn't happen to Cam Skattebo. And that happened like twice in this game too, where I'm like, bro, make a guy miss or break a freaking tackle, dude.
Not that I don't know if he's that kind of athlete. Like he's a very high runner, high cut runner. He's athletic in his own ways, like, right? Like we went over it during his pre-draft evaluation and a lot of the tape last year. He does have great athleticism, but like that avoided the way that you're just got, like, I don't know if he has that. I don't know how to phrase it, but I don't know if he has that level.
I think he's like a springier than like a Devin Singletary.
Yeah.
I think Devin Singletary has, I think he's just smoother with his footwork on the with the short area quickness that he does possess, and then he angles his body so much better, and he's also a stronger runner than Tracy, right? And it really just goes to show you, dude, like we praised Cam Skattebo, but I don't think we praised him enough. I don't know if the NFL world praised him enough, and he was freaking pretty universally praised by everybody. I think Cam Skattebo is like watching him and then watching these two, and this isn't a knock necessarily on these two, but it's pretty night and day. Like Cam Skattebo gets yardage that like not a lot of backs will get in the NFL.
100%. People just viewed his time with the Giants this year as like, oh, this guy is barreling through contact.
CTE,
and that's cool.
walking CTE.
Yeah. It's just
so much more than
not that. It's everything we broke down during the pre-draft eval and then during our film reviews. It's that ability to execute from a footwork standpoint. And it's basically, when we evaluated Skattebo, I think we said, like, this guy has superstar potential. The idea was, like, will it translate to the NFL? We saw it translate to the NFL. We already have that proof now. So I don't necessarily think that we should just knock down the ceiling with a player like this. And I'm not saying we have, but I don't think anyone's really thought about the ceiling for a player like Skattebo. He could be your lead back in an offense and one of the better ones in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, with the injury, I have no idea. Like,
who knows how he'll come back from this injury? Obviously,
what the future holds. But if like prior to that, I think he was one of the better runners in the NFL, dude. Like, I don't even think
people hear that though, Nick, and think it's crazy because he's not like this. He doesn't come off like a Breece Hall or like a Jonathan Taylor or Barkley or whatever, to that naked eye. But the things that he does to create yardage on his own are, I don't know how to quantify this, but they're not easy to quantify, I don't think, because he's not flashy in doing it, but it's helpful for your offense, right? Like when he gets 4 yards out of something that even a Barkley or a Taylor will get 1 yard out of, that makes up for the times when Taylor goes 80 and Skattebo can only go 40.
Yeah. I mean, he forced 22 missed tackles this season, according to Pro Football Focus.
100 last season.
Yeah. Over 100 in a college season. And that's just what he did. And it's also on an offense where a lot of the times it was without Malik Neighbors. He's like really running football, right? And he is the fulcrum, and everyone knows that. And the Giants, holy shit, dude, they changed their offense to be a physical ground and pound rushing team, with an RPO attack tagged on top of it. It was a pretty effective approach. I just don't know if they can replicate it with these two backs. Maybe Singletary more than Tracy. But again, I think I'm being a little hard on Tracy, but I just think there's more there. I think there's more there, and we definitely didn't see it last game. Maybe if they can get him a little bit more in a rhythm. I also think there's maybe some weird stuff going on with Tyrone Tracy Jr. too, because he kind of called out the coaching staff after week 1, and then he rode pine after that for Cam Skattebo, and Cam Skattebo seized the job after that. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what the hell's going on in the locker room. There's some weird stuff going on in the Giants locker room. We got players pulling their pants down, walking to the bathroom to avoid talking to the media. It is a show right now going on. And holy crap, I didn't think it could get lower than like the Joe Judge era after the Chicago rant, but it's teetering there.
But I'll say this, just to circle it all back. There are very few players in my mind at the running back position who can change an entire run game, and Skattebo proved that he can, because we're seeing proof of it right now. The Giants are not the same rushing attack without him on the field. That's all the proof you need to know that he was the main reason why they were able to piece it. And they were, by the way. He was like, we had some games with him where we were over 100 rushing yards. We had some games with him where the Giants were actually moving the football on the ground, like you said, and being physical and winning that physicality battle. And like, it's the same players now besides Skattebo. So who deserves the credit?
No, you're right. You're right. And it's funny too, because people might look at that, oh, I only average like 4.1 yards per carry, but it's like, dude, when you just like watch the tape, you see the energy, you see him get stopped at the line of scrimmage, break the tackle, pick up an extra 6, get the Giants into instead of a 2nd and or a 3rd and 9, they're in a 3rd and 3 or something like that. That's so valuable. That opens up your playbook so much. It takes such a burden off of Jaxson Dart. And now it's Jaxson Dart with that entire burden on his shoulders, along with a good offensive line. But when he's throwing the football to Darius Slayton, who's dropping it, and Theo Johnson, who's dropping it, and Daniel Bellinger is like a big loss to this team, and that's a tight end who could hardly see the field in the previous 2 seasons. It's like, this is it's a crap show, man. It's not good. It's not good, but at least the Giants do have a quarterback.
Yeah, and I wonder next season, if he comes back to full health and if Neighbors comes back to full health, how much better Skattebo can even be, because there are times where you're talking about this average yards per carry, and there are plenty of times we saw on tape where he just wasn't afforded much room in the run game. Now you have Neighbors on the field. That's just total defenses just have to shade a safety over the top of Neighbors. And so
you think about Neighbors too. Sorry to cut you off, dude.
That's fine.
And this is look, the plays that Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka they're running, the spacing concepts, right? And then it's a lot of that stick route. We've seen a lot of the Wan'Dale stick, and the 49ers were giving it. Malik Neighbors can turn that into a 60-yard touchdown. Right. And we've seen him do that. He makes that catch and he spins off that tag. Like, none of these other players can do that. Like, Wan'Dale's an interesting after the catch guy, but like it's a lot of the times he runs himself out of position and tries to do a little bit too much, gets tackled. He's like a pinball out there. He's hard to bring down to the deck, but man, I just would love to see Malik Neighbors in this offense with Jaxson Dart. And I got robbed of that, but that's football, I guess.
Yep. All right, let's get into some play breakdowns.
Yes, sir. Let's get into some play breakdowns. All right, we are going to start right here. 3rd and 5. We have a 3-by-1. Giants are going to Giants. This is the one where Theo sits under the 2 clear outs. You see that? It's a play that we've seen a lot, right? And then on the backside, you have Ray McLeod with the backside horizontal cross above Theo Johnson. And I like that Jaxson Dart didn't throw this football, right? And this is a 3-by-1 set. You have Ray McLeod as that backside 1. Tyrone Tracy Jr., I believe that is going to try to chip and then release. So you have the 2 on that side, and then you have the 2 clear outs with Theo Johnson at the sticks. Jaxson Dart doesn't throw this football because if you look at defense, you have this cover 6 type of look. You see that outside cornerback, his hips are aligned inward the entire time, and then you have a bracket over top of Theo Johnson. So I'm thinking like, hey, maybe you can squeeze the horizontal cross to Ray McLeod, but there's 2 underneath defenders. We're closing down on Theo, and then another defender with his hips inward. So I'm glad Dart just kind of picked his eyes up, saw how the entire defense flowed to the offensive left where all the routes were going, and then just used his legs to secure a first down.
Yep, good decision making here.
You can see Dart's eyes on this too. He's communicating, looking left, sees them sit on Theo, doesn't like and then let me just take what's there.
Good job by the offensive line on that too.
Absolutely. 2nd and 3. This is something the Giants did a lot in this game, where they would motion fast 3 to the field side, trying to take advantage of curl flat defenders in cover 4. And curl flat defenders in cover 4, the cover 4 side of cover 6, and then when they were in cover 3. And this one, you could see this, they got caught in man coverage. And the linebacker's nowhere near Tyrone Tracy Jr. I wish it was a little bit of a better throw again along the flat. Makes Tyrone Tracy Jr. turn around a little bit. Probably could have been handled a little bit better by Tyrone Tracy Jr. as well. But pick up first down. Still,
yeah, it was a little shaky for Dart on the flats throws around the line of scrimmage this game.
Yeah, a little bit, little bit. There's a way to create space versus the blitz, so that's a good play. And then here's the Theo Johnson touchdown. Look, we've seen this play design a lot. Just stick, flat, vert, and Theo Johnson just gronks himself all the way into the end zone.
Also, another example of a second read for Jaxson Dart, right? He comes off the first read here, comes off of it fast. We've talked about this all season long, really fast for a rookie, honestly, and finds another solution. Like, this is not where the play is designed to go. He wants to hit that play over there. Is that Ray on that side?
Yeah, he wants to hit Ray McLeod. And look, that's just excellent coverage by, is that Lenore over there? Whoever it is.
Yeah.
And so he goes right off of it, and he sees too, like, this is quick processing because you have the blitz. So they bring the pressure off the edge. So now you have a defender on the outside, basically scheme like 3 versus 1. It's a good scheming against this specific defense because that defender's sitting on top of the button hook, but you have Theo Johnson going horizontal, and then you have Darius Slayton over top of him. And there's really no other defender who's really in the area. You have a guy on the hash, but he's not making a play. He's walling off the inside. The Giants are designing everything outside of the hash. So it was a good play designed by the Giants, and Theo Johnson made the most of it because this is just an excellent, even though it was a good play design, this is an excellent individual effort by Theo. And I'll say this about Theo Johnson, but very hard on Theo Johnson, and I think it's all warranted. He is a dog as a blocker, though, dude.
That's why he's in.
He is taking dudes and he is driving them into the ground. And
he's a big guy. His frame is that's the frame gives him that opportunity.
Yeah, no, I love it though, dude. And the technique isn't that bad either, man. Like he gets his feet underneath him, he gets everything tight, he's driving, he's exploding low to high. Like I do appreciate him as a blocker. I just don't think he's a natural receiver. I actually think he's pretty bad at it. I think his play speed as a receiver is poor. It's just
his play speed's bad. The fact that he's just not a hands catcher just kills me. Like, you got to become a hands catcher at the NFL level. You got to work for it. You got to prove it. Even like Quentin Johnson. Yeah, go ahead.
Now he makes some catches with his hands, but it's not consistent. He lets it.
It's not consistent. Yeah, I mean consistent. You have to be. Your mindset has to be: I'm attacking the ball with my hands. That I'm going to attack the football. I am not letting it come into my body. And there's just too many times. You're right. It's not every rep, but there's just too many times where he does let it come into his body. But this can be improved. Like, Quentin Johnson is somebody who worked at it when he first came into the NFL. He's a lot. He was letting the ball come into his body a lot more than he is right now.
I agree. Now, here is the Darius Slayton, and I'm wondering if this was like Darius Slayton just sitting because it was based on the coverage. And this is the play I was referencing before. This is a catch for 7 yards on a 3rd and 9, and it's just tackled easily before the marker. Watch like Darius Slayton's route. He's the number 2 in the 3x1. He looks to his left, looks to his right, just kind of like a soft turn, like 3-4 yards before the sticks, and Upton Stout's just waiting on it, dude. And Stout, who's a stud, just drives right through Darius Slayton. It's just like,
that's a great example. That's a great point.
It's so telegraphed. Like, oh, I'm gonna look to my left. Oh, now I'm just gonna turn.
If he sells that vert hard and stops at the sticks, Dart can throw that with anticipation and drive the football to him at the sticks.
Yeah, or if the Giants even like, because look at Ray McLeod, or is that Ray? Yeah, Ray McLeod at the bottom of the screen. He's the number 1 now in the 3x1, and he presses vertical, and he's going vertical, right? But you can see how zero, like, he's like, if this was double sticks, then Dart would have had Ray to the field side on this, I believe, unless Stout would have undercut it, which he could have. Like, this is just phenomenally played by Stout, but also Slayton just isn't selling this either.
Yep.
I don't know, man.
It's the worst it's ever been for Slayton for me in my evaluation of him. It sucks because they just re-signed him.
I know, man.
They've got a lot of cap allocated to him over the next couple of years.
And he's just one of those players that's it's been such a weird time here. Like story of resilience, right? He was basically going to get cut. David Sills was earning snaps over him, and he fights his way into being one of the primary catalysts to the offense back in 2022, earning the respect of this coaching staff. And then, like, there were some like weird comments and weird things that were said over the next years. And then the Giants decided to re-sign him, which I was like, all right, that's fine. You know, you want to keep and retain your veteran talent. Cool. And now he's just out here playing really poor, just not playing well. Here, this is the Dart just gets absolutely nailed. This is like the Giants when they were in empty. A lot of the times they ran this concept. Now this time they ran fast 3 to create an empty, but Devin Singletary just chills on the line of scrimmage, and then they run a stick wheel to the tight end with Chris Manhertz running the wheel, and it's going to take a while. I love Chris Manhertz, but that's not necessarily his game. So Dart ends up going off of it. You see Andrew Thomas take Cleveland Farrell away from the pocket, but he runs towards the one receiver side where there's really 2 defenders waiting for him because it's his own cover, and he just gets absolutely annihilated. Lucky he didn't get hurt. Lucky he didn't fumble.
And I'll praise I've spent a lot of time praising Jaxson Dart's ability to come off his first read, hit second reads, his field vision, his awareness of where space is post snap. One thing he can get better at is just taking sometimes what the defense gives him. Like if he's just decisive to get that ball out to Singletary there, whoever that back is, it's such a better solution than what he's trying to do here, which is create a big play by moving around in the pocket and ultimately taking a sack.
I'll say this though, catch 22 to that, and the touchdown pass to I think it was Gunner or it was to Slayton. It was the same look. It was out of empty, and Singletary was just chilling there, and nobody was even near Singletary. And Dart kept his eyes downfield, and he fired what should have been a touchdown to his receiver.
Yeah.
But here he's just trying to do a little bit too much, and they were on top of it. You could see the 49ers were completely on top. If he stayed towards the front side of this play, though,
it's not. Yeah, it's not like it's not a negative on Dart because it's just the safer option to take that Singletary fast, and we'd rather him have that big game hunting mentality. But there are times where you just need to take it.
Well, it's also like look where you are in the football.
That's what I mean. Backed up in your own end zone. This is times you just take this on a first down or whatever. That was a 2nd and 7. You just take it and set yourself up for 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 4.
Yep. And now here we're gonna have a 3rd and 7 later on in the game. This is Theo Johnson just completely like that is like comically bad.
It's bad.
It's a push off too, which is like whatever, but 48, I'm fine with that, the contact. But if you look at the bottom of the screen too, you have that outside release, and the safety is already kind of playing it towards the inside. So, I mean, I'm sure the safety would have flowed over the top of Slayton there, but that didn't happen. But yeah, I don't know. Theo Johnson is just becoming Evan Ingram, like a lot of people said on the after show.
It was a nice drive throw by Dart. Good job with the footwork, getting his body squared and making that drive throw. It's a great throw. He throws it away from the coverage with a lot of velocity and pinpoint ball placement. But Theo, obviously, as you can tell from that angle, the end zone angle, he just lets it come into his body. Can't do that.
Yeah, man. And look, you convert there. It could be a 1-score game. You know, the Giants are right in it, right? You have to punt the football back. Your defense gives you the football again, right? You get the football again, and then you have Jaxson Dart here going to the mesh point. And it's a bad throw to Tyrone Tracy Jr. I felt like the 49ers defender did a good job getting himself into the throwing lane. And then, look, that's thrown behind Tyrone Tracy Jr. Could be because of that defender, but Tyrone Tracy Jr. also isn't the type of receiver who's going to pull that down. That's tough. That's tough for him. But if you look at the top of the screen, you have Darius Slayton. He splits the cover 4, man. He splits it with that skinny post. And Dart doesn't see it. Dart has his eyes on Tracy, but if Dart kept his eyes vertical, which he does a lot of the time, this would have been a nice Slayton drop in the end zone. Nah, I'm just joking, but it could have been a touchdown for the Giants.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, but he's open there.
From the review of it from the end zone angle, you could see that the reason the throw was off target is because he had to get it around this defender.
Yeah, 91 does a really good job
there.
there.
Position, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if you wanted Tracy to stop, probably not, but whatever. Tyrone Tracy Jr. All right, here we have 8:57 in the 3rd quarter, 1st and 10. And it's just cover 1, man. There wasn't a ton of man coverage in this game. This is an under center play action pass, tight coverage. And I felt like Jaxson Dart just does a really good job evading this and making something. Just like we talk about making plays, he makes plays with his legs here against man coverage, identifies, and no one's creating any freaking separation on this one. And Dart does something and just evades getting sacked.
I put this play up on Twitter because I loved a few things from the mental side with Dart. I love him going through the full progression, resetting the pocket, stepping back and stepping up through the pocket, never pulling the trigger. Like the route, the 2-man route concept on the left side where he's looking to start the snap, it's not there and it's never going to be there. The 49ers have it covered really well. Comes all the way back to the other side of the progression. Nothing is there as well. He's trying to maybe find Slayton and then make something out of nothing. Like we've seen too many of these, over the years, and not just with our quarterback, but with all quarterbacks in the NFL, turn into sacks eventually, or roll fully right and throw out of bounds, but he's able to turn this into a gain. I just hate the end of the play though. Like it's just so unnecessary to take this hit. He needs to just be smart enough to just step out of bounds and lose the 3 yards. Like he's not Skattebo. I'm happy when Skattebo goes for the extra 3 yards. This is not the same situation. We cannot afford to lose Jaxson Dart. This year, obviously we suck. Like it wouldn't matter from our record, but in years where we're hoping to get in the future, we can't afford to just be piling up dumb hits like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Here we're going to have Marcus Mbow just lose, get sacked, 3:10 left in the 3rd quarter.
This is one of those drive killers that he had.
It's 20-10 at this point. This is still like, look at the Giants. They were hapless, but this is still, theoretically, mathematically, it's a winnable game. And
Yeah, it's the Broncos.
yeah, right. Well, I don't know if the Giants can muster that type of effort. But Marcus Mbow that's loses for power. You have McLeod too. Like I think he would have been open on this backside dig. Like you could see McLeod presses vertical, and then he's in a wide open throwing window.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think
Mbow kills this drive. It's a drive killing play from Mbow, and he had 2 of them in this game. It's more of a reason why to drive the point home of what I said last night, which is they have no option but to sign Jermaine Illuminor. There's no option.
No, you're 100% right. And this is a well-designed just dagger concept. Clear out number 2, dig number 1.
Yeah, he's hitting that. Dart is hitting that throw if Mbow doesn't blow this block.
Yeah, so that's
what's gonna happen for Marcus Mbow. He's a rookie, right? Like,
and there are other plays with Mbow too, like not just him getting like struggling with power. Like he really struggles with power, struggles with the outside shoulder, reminiscent of Matt Parrott, not to invoke that name, but a little bit. And there was also plays where it's just like I could tell what he's doing before the snap because of his alignment, right? Like when the Giants were pulling, I think they ran like one play where they pulled him to the front side, and he's like a yard, 6 inches off of where he normally is. His stance is a little bit more upright. It just completely looks different. It's a telltale. You got to be better with disguises there.
Yep. Good point.
Wan'Dale Robinson just can't secure this. It's tight coverage, man coverage on a 3rd and 8. Quarter 3, still again a winnable game, but protection. You have Fedone in with the protection. He ends up doing a good job. So does Singletary, but Wan'Dale's just he doesn't create the separation I think that he needs on this one.
Yeah, the 49ers blitz, and Dart does a good job kind of stepping back through the pocket to create an opportunity to throw it away from the coverage.
Watch Dart's feet though. It's just like again, it's like he fades away. And watch that that. You see how he jumps and hop steps backwards. Yeah. Like he does that, and this throw, look, I'm not going to say it's a bad throw, but it could be a little bit more upfield. It's not the best ball placement.
Yeah, whenever your footwork is that out of sync, it's going to probably be the case. Obviously, it doesn't help when you have a receiver who's not going to make that play in a contested catch situation. The Giants just have no contested catch receivers right now. It's a big, big problem. And Malik Neighbors, for all the things he does from a separation standpoint and a speed and athleticism standpoint, he was also really good at playing the ball at the point of the catch. Yeah. And that's just gone. They need to figure that out. It's going to be tough. It's very hard to acquire receivers outside of the draft.
Yeah, you're right, man. Here's Jaxson Dart, 1st and 10, 24-yard gain on a Darius Slayton dig over the middle of the field. You could see how, look, you're sitting on a lot of our little spot routes. We're going to run digs behind them. And a lot of the times, look, when the Giants, this is like the give and take of playing football, right? They were sinking and removing the highs. Well, now they kept hitting the lows and they kept hitting the lows. And now you're going to start to have tendencies where they're going to play the low and now you can hit the high. And that's exactly what happens where no one even picks up. Darius Slayton here goes for 24 against a cover 6 defense. Everyone sat on McLeod's underneath. I like Jaxson Dart's eyes on this as well. You'll see that from this angle, wide front. He looks to his right, doesn't like it, comes off backside dig. We want quarterbacks who can find the backside dig. Yes. We talk about that often. We want a quarterback who can locate that backside dig. Let's watch the front side of the play. Let's go back a little bit, and we'll see exactly what the combination was because it was empty. You have Theo Johnson as a number 2. He's just going to do a slot fade. The Giants ran this slot fade, number 3, either stick or pivot, and then the number 1 guy chills on the line of scrimmage. The Giants ran that 3 or 4 times in this game, and I'm glad Dart came off that and found the backside dig, which was open.
Yeah. And that's a great breakdown by you. We want to see that. And my one thing I did take away from this game, Nick, was early in the first half when the Giants were just not finding a lot of solutions in the pass game. I would like to see them go quicker to empty. I feel like Jaxson Dart in these all the snaps, I'd have to watch them all over again. Some of our best opportunities in the pass game have come out of empty sets. And I think he sees the field. It just fits his skill set. He can see the field well. He understands the timing of a backside dig like you just broke down. Give him more opportunities like that, in my mind, and we'll see more success in the passing game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times, too, the Giants just use the running back to chill. Just chill at the line of scrimmage as far off the numbers, outside the numbers as you possibly can. And that just provides an easy security blanket because a lot of because the Giants will usually run the slot fade out of that. So that's going to force that defender to sink, and no one really ever accounts unless it's man coverage for the running back. And that could be easy yardage. It's just, can the running back make anybody miss in space after they secure the football? That's something else. And then I just showed the quarterback power run for a touchdown. Good kick out block by GVR, or at least held him up long enough. And then Devin Singletary did a good job also assisting. Here's 1st and 10. This is the Darius Slayton ball. We were talking about just such a good throw by Jaxson Dart. And here you could see, look, you have the Devin Singletary chilling on the line of scrimmage, like we said. Theo Johnson running an out and up, or no, I'm sorry, that's Thomas Fidone. And Darius Slayton turns number two, deep third defender. He stays on top of Thomas Fidone, and Darius Slayton looks like he kind of like dogs the route a little bit. I don't want to just sit him and kick it. He's like slowing down a little bit, like here. He's like, oh shit, the football's in the air. Let me catch that. It's right on target, right where it needed to be, and doesn't secure it.
Yeah, as far as the catch goes, he's trying to brace his fall, which is something he does a lot. And then by doing so, he takes his right arm off the ball, which is going to make it harder to continue the catch through the ground. It's pretty obvious. It's not doesn't take a rocket scientist to know if you keep two hands on the ball, you have a better chance to come down with it. That's a tendency of his. I don't really know why. It sucks for us though. But also, what I wanted to point out about this play was this to me is like the underlining play, if you're looking at the tape from this week, at least, where you hear Shanahan and these coaches talking about like, wow, Dart just seems to have this innate feel for space, right? Like where space is going to be down the field. You can watch Dart on this play if you slow it down and watch what he's looking at. The minute that number two turns, he triggers in his mind that I'm going to have that space to the corner route with Slayton, and I'm going to be able to put that football over there because two has already turned. And the speed at which Dart collects the information of watching two turn and then releasing the football, and then that football actually getting there, because it was actually a really nice drive throw from Jaxson Dart. That's awesome stuff, man. Like that's the type of stuff that you look at, to me at least, and it's like this is an innate elite rep from this quarterback from the mental side of things.
No, you're 100% right, man. It's right when he turns on. I mean, a good route combination splits the cover three, and the Giants go back to a similar concept a little bit later with the Gunnar Olszewski. But as I was saying a little bit earlier, you could see Wan'Dale Robinson wide open, Devin Singletary wide open. Dart sets his feet, good footwork in the pocket, trusts his eyes, trusts the process, fire up.
He knows where space is going to be, and he's actually has his eyes downfield all the time as a quarterback.
I hate this stupid camera at MetLife. It gets in the way too much. But here, you can kind of see the
360.
Yeah. He's
quick.
Looking at number two that entire time. He's like, I know I'm going to have I'm getting the cover three look that I want. I know I'm going to have the middle field close safety. I have inside leverage with Darius Slayton releasing inward. So if number two is the deep third, covers Thomas Fidone and peels off, I have Slayton against Brown. And
right. And he knows that he has the space there because of the leverage for Brown on this play. So it's just like everything about that works from the mental side of it. And I do want to give a shout out. I think a listener told me about this, John. Shout out to John, who said during the pre-draft process, it was Orlovsky who watched all the tape of the quarterbacks and said that when it came to all these quarterbacks in this class, Dart was the fastest as far as seeing something, and then boom, it's out of his hands. And I think that's a really good way to break down what we just saw there. He saw that DB turn, and he was able to get the ball out of his hands. And in his head, he knew where the space would be on the field.
I like this play too for a few reasons. I think Dart throws us in the dirt because he saw that he was about to make a mistake. That, and also Darius Slayton left the field because this is the next play after he dropped the pass, and he might have been evaluated for a concussion too, which he passed according to Daboll today. But watch Gunnar Olszewski's route first. I don't really know why he's not earning more snaps, because the Giants receivers suck. They're collectively trying to find an answer. And I know Gunnar Olszewski is not going to be the most exciting player out there, but he can create space. And I know they brought in Ray to do that, but like if you look at the top of the screen, that number two, that is a really nice slow go route. He sells it very well. And he's open up the seam, but Dart is evading already. And then Dart goes to throw this football to Wan'Dale, and I think he might have last second just put it into the dirt because he sees that defender just driving downhill on it. And I'm like, that would have been a wise play if that's the case.
I like that. This didn't come to my mind when I first watched the tape of Al, but I do like that idea of, and I've seen that before. Like the play I was talking about earlier that we broke down where he scrambled for 20 yards. That was another good example of him not putting the ball in harm's way. And one thing I'll say about Jaxson Dart that has really stood out to me, and I'm going to shout out, I believe, Monty for this stat. Let me just make sure that I have it here in front of me, because I did bookmark it earlier. Let's just see if I still have it. Yeah. This is shout out Monty. Jaxson Dart has the highest big time throw percentage when he's under pressure in the NFL, and 11.3%. But he also has matched that with the seventh lowest turnover worthy throw percentage of just 3.4%. I think that speaks volumes. He talked about that a lot when he was drafted by the Giants, Nick. I don't know if you heard some of those interviews where he was like, yeah, I did challenge downfield, but I also, if you look at the numbers, didn't throw a lot of interceptions. And that was true of his tape at and the numbers checked out as far as the college PFF goes, which is did not have a big turnover worthy throw rate percentage at the college level either.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's checking out right now. And this final play that we have, it's just the Gunnar Olszewski touchdown. This is an exceptional play by Jaxson Dart. Tight bunch, 3-by-1. Gunnar Olszewski, good route, deep corner, splits the cover three, deep third defenders. And that ball's to the inside, man, because Lenore, I think that's Lenore on that one. He's in the area code, man, and he's in that half stride and he's gaining depth. And if Dart puts that over the shoulder and allows Gunnar to run underneath it, that could be an interception. So instead, he puts it towards the inside and forces Gunnar to turn it. Like, that's just exceptional quarterbacking there, understanding what to do, and not to mention that little pump fake shimmy to maybe just create a little bit of consternation. And maybe I'm going to the out and up to Theo Johnson. But nope, right to Gunnar Olszewski. Beautiful pass, just elite play by the quarterback.
This is an absolutely elite play by the quarterback. You pretty much touched on everything I wanted to there, but I will say this. As far as if you look back on the sideline angle of it, it's funny because if he doesn't execute that pump fake, I don't think this play is completed for a touchdown. I think it's a small little bit of hesitation right there. You can kind of see it. This is a tight window, though. Like, if you don't have that hesitation at all, you don't get the throw, you don't get the touchdown. That's why it's an elite play. That little slight hesitation just allows for the smallest of windows to throw the football into. And if you don't have that hesitation, there's no window. And it doesn't matter where he places the ball, it's going to get broken up.
Watch number 2. So he's the defender who is chilling near the 15-yard line. Watch him right as he pump fakes. You'll see him bring his feet together, and it looks like he's leaning just a little bit, like he's going to drive downward. And then he brings his feet together, and then it's at that point when Jaxson Dart resets that back foot and goes to fire that he really starts to gain the depth. And that, you're right, man, that little pump fake just held him long enough. It's very, very small, but held him long enough to allow this catch to manifest.
Right, because there's not really much room anyway for this throw to be made, even after this guy comes back to it, number 2. He was manipulating number 2 a lot. Like he started to really do a good job of using his eyes and using the pump fakes to kind of play these safeties. And that was stuff. Even after that, despite that, like, I remember in addition to that, that throw was just phenomenal. It was a drive throw. The ball placement was perfect. Actually, exactly where you want it, away from that defender, but in between the other defender.
Yeah, it was elite. It really was. And he's doing it to Gunnar Olszewski.
Yeah. Who, by the way, all he does is make plays when he gets opportunities, old Gunnar. All right, Nick, let's do some superlatives here. What do you got for unheralded player of the game?
Greg Van Roten, man. I felt like Greg Van Roten in pass protection and as a run blocker had a bunch of different plays where I was like, oh, okay, that was well executed by him. And yeah, so I went with Greg Van Roten. Could have been Gunnar Olszewski. He played freaking 4 snaps, though.
I went with Singletary. We talked about it earlier. Just a player that, when you watch the tape, is a much better player than most fans realize or give credit for. And I get it. It's a fantasy football world. It's tough to understand. And I don't want to say understand. That's not the right word. I'm not some fucking hoity-toity guy who understands anything. But it's just tough to give credit to players who don't have the flash. And he's not a flashy player by any means.
He just does a lot of little things correctly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Best throw of the game for you?
The Gunnar Olszewski touchdown we just went over.
I went with the Slayton throw we went over just because I really do love that it's the mental side of it. It's that understanding of space. He's watching number 2, and as number 2 makes that turn, he knows he has that space. Yeah,
that was great. Best overall player.
There's not much to choose from. For me, it was either Thomas or Dart. I went with Dart in this one.
Same. Jaxson Dart. He's earning this a lot on the offense, which says something. And then the player we expect to see more from, I'm sure it's probably the same. Well, it could be multiple guys, but I have Darius Slayton.
Yeah, I looked through it. Like, I put Tracy just because, again, like, I expect Tracy, given what's left for the Giants, to be either their best or second best playmaker from a pure skill, talent, speed, elusiveness standpoint. And last year, he basically was after Neighbors. Now, he's not. That's not the case. In this game, he was certainly not their best. He probably wasn't even one of their 2 or 3 or 4 best. So it's going to take some time, and they got to get him in a rhythm. I agree with you. They got to give him a chance to get in some kind of rhythm, but it was just not. I'm expecting more from him.
Yeah. And then pass blocking.
I went with 6.9. It was nice. It was tough for me to, like, figure out a grade here because I thought it was actually really good besides those Marcus Mbow reps.
Yeah.
I don't credit Thomas for the sack in near the end zone. That's just like Dart doing his thing and taking too long. So yeah, it's hard for me to knock it too much because it was good besides those 2 or 3 reps.
Yeah. How many, I'm trying to look real quick. How many pressures did Marcus Mbow give up? Because I had like 3, was it? 4?
Yeah, something in that range.
He was credited. Okay, that's week 8. So let me get week 9 up. He was credited with 3. Yeah, 3 pressure. That's what I had as well. And then there was only 5 total pressures. So I got to go with the 6.4 here.
Okay.
Yeah, because Runyon had 1 pressure allowed, and Andrew Thomas did. And the only sack given up was the Marcus Mbow one. The other one was credited towards Jaxson Dart, rightfully too. Run blocking.
Yeah, I mean, we usually look at the scales like 2.5, 5, 7.5 as like benchmarks, right? For like 5 would be even. I went with 2.4. I mean, a lot of what they did in the run game I felt was individual for Singletary, or that individual cut that Tracy made to go to the off tackle on Thomas, which created yards. So I just didn't think it was much of design scheme creating much or the blocking creating much.
Yeah, it was definitely a step back when it comes to rushing the football. Game script might have had something to do with that. It seemed like the Giants, they were taking advantage of the fact that, and this was a smart coaching adjustment, that the 49ers were dropping depth.
Yep.
Because they ran like 3 draws, 1
Yeah.
quarterback draw, 2 halfback draws. So they were trying to gain, a little bit of leverage, a little bit of space off of that tendency that Robert Saleh was doing. I had but I too had a low grade. It was like a 3.6 for run blocking.
Yep. All right. And then, that's all we got. So thank you so much for tuning into Big Blue Banter Podcast. This was the offensive all 22 film review. Please hit the like button. Please rate and subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to help us grow the show. Please leave comments on this video. Those are really all the things we need, and hype the video if you can. Other than that, have a great rest of your week and night, and we'll talk to you soon with the defensive film review.